Have any of you ever experienced someone you know, not just on a personal level, but someone you saw on an everyday basis, such as in school or your neighborhood, suddenly change into something you no longer couldn't recognize no more? Well, I have. My friend Christopher was my childhood best friend. We would always be together, we would always be playing video games, rocking with our guitars, just doing kids things. And then I moved to a different city and different school, and I was no longer able to see him as much. I started noticing him changing and molding into something I didn't know anymore. His appearance changed. He changed his appearance through baggy clothes, he shaved his head, and he started hanging out with just shady people. It's undeniable, undeniable that there is gang activity within Fullerton, as well as neighboring cities, not too far from our doorsteps. Today I will be reviewing the subjects of what a street gang is, why they join a gang, their forms of criminal activity, and some of the major street gangs in our local community. But first we must know what a street gang is. Most of us can easily describe what a street member looks like through their appearances, like their baggy clothes, their bright athletic shoes, tattoos usually, all over their bodies. According to a book, A Guide to Understanding Street Gangs, it is defined as any group gathered together on a continuous basis to commit antisocial behavior. Meaning any group gathered together just doing, shady stuff. In a term paper called Working Together for a Safe Community, gangs recruit at an early age starting at 9 years old, and some stay until the age of 40, known as the OG or original gangster. Some can be described as turf-oriented, claiming a neighborhood as theirs, and it's their responsibility whatever happens within their turf. But not all gangs are turf-oriented. Some street gangs are divided by cliques. They're still part of the main gang, but each clique has a different name, has a different location, and it has a different job task. So we now know what a street gang is. Let's discuss why they join a gang. There are numerous reasons why people join street gangs. For economic reasons, safety, friendship, status, recognition, curiosity, excitement, to hide from authorities, out of sense of tradition, drug abuse, or peer pressure. This is from the book, Understanding Street Gangs. Some just want to belong somewhere and feel accepted. Others want power, and they have the need to destroy anything that gets in their path. So I read in many articles. And thousands have said they get something out of the gang that is missing in their lives. And almost all refer to the gangs as their family. This is from the book, Understanding Street Gangs. My friend Christopher is probably the best example of this. I recently spoke to him and asked him why join a gang. His response was most of his family members were in it. And it's funny because the gang that he's in is actually right outside my doorstep. And it's called Penguins, which just doesn't sound that scary, but then I started thinking about just billions of penguins or just a bunch of people. Okay, and once I moved, he kind of didn't really have a choice but to, hang out with his cousins and, just make new friends. And he kind of just wanted to feel accepted, and it was kind of like a family tradition for him to do. Okay, we now know some of the reasons why some join gangs, but criminal activities, what kind of criminal activities do they do? Street gangs are famously known to perform notorious activities. I believe it's safe to say that street gangs are known to be dangerous. We have seen it all over the news. Gangs run with a business-like efficiency, from drug dealing, kidnapping, weapon violations, threats against police officers, hate crimes, rapes, homicide, burglaries, credit card fraud. The point is that gang members can and do commit all types of crimes. This is from the book Understanding Street Gangs. I also know some street gangs can do dirty work for the Mexican mafia, which is called the M, which is one of the biggest, most dangerous prison gangs. And these people are just known to be reckless, and if they want something, they're known to just take it, stab someone, or kill them. I took this information from the documentary Ganglangs. My friend Christopher began hanging out with his cousins, and just after a few months, he started selling drugs. And although the money was good for him and it was keeping him happy by buying the things that he wanted, it was still pretty illegal to do. Okay, so I now discussed so far, everything I discussed so far out to us locally. In Orange County, there are about 430 gangs with a total of 13,361 street gang members. This is quoting from Detective Cortez from the Long Beach Police Department. Some of the major street gangs in our community are spreading to different states and even countries. 18th Street is one of the most dangerous Hispanic gangs because they accept all ethnicities, and it's spreading throughout all over U.S. Numbers said to reach about 10,000 with dozens of 2,000 cliques. Asian boys are a gang that originated in Van Nuys and are known to claim, not to claim Turks, but they do random road trips to different cities, and they steal from people, they do credit card fraud. And Latin Thugs is a gang that actually formed in a high school in 2000, at Cabrillo High School, Los Angeles, but can be found in Anaheim, Magnolia, even Long Beach Boulevard. This gang was thought to be dead, but recently came back in 2010. And now they're doing like various crime activities just to earn their respect again. This is information that I got from Detective Cortez. And as you can see, street gangs are prolific and are dangerous in numbers. I'm not gonna show you a visual aid. It's nothing violent. It's just it's a member from 18th Street, and he's in prison.
Would you bring your kids into this gang?
Yo nunca hubiera querido que mi hijo fuera pandillero.
Is he in jail?
Está en señor.
Murder?
Murder. Wow, so lleva 4 años, imagino.
As far as I know, Sean can even teach his son to kill. But he's a firm believer in gang loyalty, and that apparently rubbed off on his kid.
Antes el barrio, ante todo, no importa en las circunstancias que te encontres, ser leal a la pandilla, no decir nada.
Subtitles. But basically, he's explaining why he's so loyal to the gang, and even his son is in it, and now they're both in prison together. So we now know why, some of the reasons why they join a gang, some of the criminal activities that they do, and some of the local gangs here in Orange County and our neighboring cities. This type of lifestyle can only take you very few places, such as imprisonment, to a major traumatic hospital visit, or the most obvious, straight to the grave. My friend Christopher didn't even make it past 18 years of age. He was arrested at 16 years of age and was in juvenile hall until he turned 18, and he is now serving time for attempted murder and other counts. And I'm not gonna see him until he's 35. Thank you.
So what was the deal again? Okay? So,
Spencer, what did you think? Okay, so as far as the delivery goes, I think that she had a lot of information that was good. It seemed very well researched, but she's a little shaky and probably could have had a little more eye contact. But off of that, though, she had a very good intro. I think she had a really good preview of what we were about to hear about. Very good description, too, I thought, of what a street gang is. She clearly defined it for all of us that may not have known of what a street gang really actually is. It was pretty easy to follow. I could, tell when she was going to transition to the next subject. And I'm not sure if it was intended or not, but the little laugh that she gave everyone, improv right there, I thought that was pretty witty and quick on the feet, and I thought that was nice because it is a dark subject and kind of lighten it up a little bit like that. I thought that was pretty nice. So overall, I thought it was a really good speech.
Okay. I'll echo a lot of the things that you said. I think that you started with a rhetorical question that transitions to a nice personal example as your attention device, and that works out well. I like the fact that you come back to the example several times in the speech. In other words, we've got your friend, and how does somebody metamorphosize into this and get involved in a gang? And so you talk about gangs, you kind of give it a little bit of background, and then you come back to your friend and you talk about what happened with them, and you do that 2 or 3 times in speech. It's what's called a serial example. It's you keep coming back to the same example as it's moved along in the sequence, and I thought it worked really well and integrated your speech very effectively. The topic area is very broad, and I know that you've got a purpose statement, but it didn't sound very specific when you presented it, and there's a good preview of what the structure is going to be, but the purpose statement is just, I guess it's an introduction to the issue of what street gangs are in Southern California, but it sounded a little abstract, and even though we've worked on those kinds of things, it's not just you. I've noticed several people, we have this problem. It's as if the purpose statements that you worked on now are, I just got those out of the way and I don't need them anymore, and I'm expecting to hear them in people's speeches and I'm not hearing them. I know what their topic is, but I don't hear the purpose statement for the presentation, and yours is just one of those. You're not the only one that did that, so it just seems like I don't know if I didn't explain to people enough what's going on there, but it's not occurring the way it's supposed to be. On the other hand, I thought that you had a lot of research material in your speech. The definitions that you provided, the statistical information about the number of gangs, that sort of thing. The weakness of the speech, I think most people will probably be able to pick out. You just have the one visual in there, and it's a short clip. And there are some problems with the clip. It's in Spanish, and if you don't speak Spanish, I assume that's Spanish. If you don't speak Spanish, you got to be able to read the subtitles. And I'm sitting in the back. The lights are on. My vision is old guy vision, that kind of stuff. I could barely read what was going on. I could make out most of what's going on, but it just seems like you hadn't really thought about that kind of thing. You had a good clip. I thought it was an interesting clip because it talks about how they feel this loyalty and how it even transitions into their family. So I thought that the clip was pretty good, but that's all there is. And it seems to me like there were lots of opportunities. You mentioned that there are X number of gangs, and you got a list of those gangs. That would be an easy thing to do. Maybe you wouldn't have them all there, but you could have, some of the gang names and the estimated number of members in that gang in a table chart. For instance, you mentioned the one gang that has maybe up to 2,000 different cliques in it. I'm going, okay, well, what's the difference between the cliques? Maybe that's something that could be defined in a graphic way also. So I think there are opportunities that you missed to visualize ideas. You had good information in the speech, and you could have made that information a little bit more useful. On the delivery of the speech, if I'm not watching you, you sound really good. If I'm just listening to you, if I got my eyes closed and I'm hearing you, you sound smooth for the most part. You know the terminology. You're not hesitating as you're speaking, any of those kinds of things. When I'm watching you, you've got that paper up in front of you, and it looks really strange that you're having to do that. And of course, you can see a little bit of the anxiety coming out because the paper's shaking a little bit. That's one of the problems with having that big paper is, down where your hands are, there's no problem, but up at the top, you could see it's wiggling a little bit. And I'm going, she's probably a little bit anxious there. That's one of those things that you can control when you make some decisions If you just have index cards, you know the material, and you don't have to read as much, you'll actually be less nervous and conveying less anxiety there. All right, thank you.